video, we will be taking this 2025 Hyundai Ioniq 6 on our toughest EV test, the Loveland Trials. We'll be starting here in Boulder, Colorado at about 5,000 feet of elevation and going up to Loveland Pass at about 12,000 feet of elevation. I want to know just how many miles it takes going up, but how much we gain coming back down. With me on this video, I've got our beloved Andre.
Thank you, Jen, for having me here with you. I'm super psyched about Loveland Trials because it's very similar to what we do on our truck channel, which is the iGauntlet World's Toughest Towing Test, and this is the World's Toughest EV Test. And we can compare how this Ioniq 6 does versus every other vehicle we've tried there, right?
Exactly. And what do you think about this Ioniq 6?
So first of all, I gotta tell you, the current Ioniq 6, I really like the way it looks in the front. The rear end of this car is questionable in my opinion. It's a bit controversial, and it's also being redesigned for 2026.
That's right.
So, and by the way, this color is quite nice. I like
they call it
flake.
Serenity White for all of you Seinfeld fans out there, but it's got a really nice flake to it in the sun, which is definitely makes it pop for sure. But it also has the classic pixelation, which you'll find across all of their Ioniq brands, and that continues on the back and the taillights as well. But I will agree with you, Andre, the front looks pretty good, but it's definitely very odd in the back, and we have these active shutters in the grille as well.
Yeah, and I think that's the key for basically any car, but especially an electric car, because range is very important, right?
Absolutely.
Range and performance. And this car, if you look at it in profile, it's super sleek for a reason, right? Because aerodynamics is huge, like those movable grille shutters, right?
Exactly.
That open up for cooling, but close down for aerodynamics.
Yeah, no, this slope is probably one of the biggest slopes we've seen since what, like the CLS in 2010?
Probably.
You know, like this is such a crazy slope, and then we've got two wings back here. This almost reminds me of like a Porsche whale tail.
Yeah.
But continuing with that, the classic pixelation on the taillights as well.
Exactly. And let us know in the comments below, what do you guys think about the styling, right? Because it's subjective, right? Everybody will have their own opinion kind of about that.
Either it's going to look super cool to you, or maybe it's not your jam. But here's where you kind of miss out because of that major slope. Open that up for me.
Okay.
Pretty small back here, only 11 cubic feet.
Yes, there's a little bit of kind of understorage here for a charger or some small items. But I agree with you. I mean, a larger sedan like this, I mean, it should have like 14 cubic feet, maybe like a Camry or something like that. But this is a little small, but you could fold these seats down, right? Let me try that. See, I'm over here.
So that's not bad. You can stick some larger things in there. One downfall, and that's kind of common with a lot of EVs, you don't get a full-size spare tire or donut or anything, but they do give you a tire mobility kit, so at least you're covered in that range. But when it comes to the cargo area, that's not the only spot you're missing out.
Is there a frunk?
There is a frunk, but that's not the only. Yeah, it's not the only spot that you're missing out on with space.
Let's check it out.
Look at that.
Oh, not a huge space.
Not a whole lot. Definitely can't fit like your sunglasses.
Perfect.
Maybe a couple Subway Sammys or something, if that's what you're into.
Maybe a small like briefcase, but
it's definitely not like a
not.
duffel bag or like groceries or anything.
You know what I like about this? A lot of manufacturers that leave it open.
Yeah.
You see wires and hoses and a bunch of like weird stuff hanging out. But this is a little bit covered, but still not a big frunk.
I'd rather have this than nothing, though.
Yeah.
You know, so I'll give them that, but definitely not a whole lot of space.
So in order to compare this Ioniq 6 versus every other electric vehicle we've tested, we got to charge it up to 100%.
Absolutely.
So let's switch to that video now where we charge it at the office and then also get back here for the loop.
Are you looking to drive off in a brand new EV and support a nonprofit that's working towards cleaning up the environment? We've got one for you. This year's electric vehicle raffle for the planet from the CCAN Action Fund is better than ever. Here's why. Every ticket you purchase gives you not one, not two, but 3 chances to win a brand new EV. The grand prize winner gets to pick from 6 luxury EVs: the rugged Rivian R1S, the powerful Rivian R1T, the brand new Lucid Gravity, the sleek Lucid Air, the bold Porsche Macan EV, or the iconic Porsche Taycan. The second place winner will choose between a Hyundai Ioniq 5 or a Volkswagen ID Buzz. And this year, there's a third prize, the well-equipped Chevy Equinox EV. Only 10,000 tickets will be sold. Tickets are just $200 and support the CCAN Action Fund's mission to fight for cleaner air and a healthier environment. Even better, the group covers state and federal taxes on the winning vehicles. So head over to www.evraffle.org. That's evraffle.org, or click on that description below. Get your ticket today for 3 chances to win the EV of your dreams. All right, Andre, so we just drove a mile from the office where we did start with 100% and 304, but just in that little bit, we've dropped to 99% and down to 290 miles.
But the car's been kind of sitting here for a couple minutes, also maintaining the climate control system. So a lot of things have been going on.
Of course. And 304 was, like I said, very optimistic because...
Well, what does the EPA say, or what does Hyundai say?
270.
Okay.
So that's, I mean, I think we're going to be closer to that. I think it's going to level off a little bit, especially as we're climbing. Let's put in destination to Loveland Pass.
And we have to climb, from about 50 or 5,000 feet, 5,200 feet, to about 12,000. So that's a lot of climbing.
It's a lot of climbing. So I'm assuming that we're going to lose like 100 miles of range going up, even though it's only 73 miles to get there.
Yeah. And we've been doing this test for about 5 years plus. So if you click on some of the other videos down below, you can see how this compares to some of the other cars we've tested.
So looks like
route guidance will start now.
Okay, thanks.
Nice.
So it's saying actually 81 miles for this route here.
Okay, from this location.
From this location. All right, so this has a couple different drive modes. It's got eco, normal, and sport. It also has snow, but obviously we don't need that today. But I think for us to show that this is just a normal driving test and we're not trying to hypermile anything, I think we should do this in normal today. What do you think?
Okay, well, I was gonna say eco, because whenever I'm on a road trip, I usually try to put the vehicle I'm in into like its most efficient mode, unless I'm
right, yeah.
But I think to make it even with every other test, we have to keep it normal.
Okay, let's do that.
Yeah. Oh, this is nice, because I was wondering, like, will the Ioniq 6 tell us, like, the state of charge of when we arrive?
Right. And right now it's showing 50%, 57% once we get there.
Okay, so that makes me feel a little bit more comfortable, just knowing that. So that's nice to know. And of course, it's not telling us about chargers because it doesn't think we need to charge yet.
No.
Right,
we
so
should
that's
have
normal.
We should have plenty of charge.
Okay. A couple other things about the interior. I like the volume knob. That's awesome. Some of the other buttons. But the climate control system is all digital buttons.
I know.
So it's a little bit tough, especially while driving, to control some of that.
No, it's not my favorite. I'm happy it's not embedded into the main infotainment screen, but it's still a screen nonetheless, and not my favorite.
And this is interesting too, because the window control switches are on the center console, as if this was like a Jeep Wrangler.
Right, where you're going to remove the doors, where you're removing the buttons as well. But yeah, everything from the lock and unlock and the windows is in the center. And here's where my big bugaboo is for the lock and unlock being in the center. So it's something I have to deal with in my car. My 335 has the lock and unlock button here, and there's no way to adjust that to where when you park, it only unlocks the driver door. So when I go into the back to open something, I now have to lean my whole body, which is getting much more difficult now, to press the unlock button. It's the same thing here. I think that's really frustrating. I wish they would just leave that on the doors.
I guess, I mean, if you do have the fob, you could kind of, at least for this car, go around it. But this could also be useful, for example, if the passenger wanted to control like the rear glass, maybe you have a child.
That's true.
I don't know, but this is strange.
It's interesting. It's interesting, and this texture. It's very gritty.
Yeah, it's like sandpaper.
Yeah, it's almost like a 220 grit sandpaper. It's very odd. All right, so we just hit our halfway point to get up to Loveland Pass, we've driven 41 miles. We've got about 39 miles left, and our state of charge is at 82%, and we're at 237 miles, and technically we started with 290 miles.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm trying to get my GPS here to see our elevation, and it is at 7,400 feet. It's kind of hard to see. So we actually already gained a lot of altitude.
Oh yeah, but we're not even close to being done.
No, we're not. And so having doing 2.9 miles per kilowatt hour, that's what it's showing right now. I'm actually kind of impressed.
Because we're climbing, you know, I wouldn't expect the best MPGE, you know, going up as I would coming down, but that's gonna be interesting.
Let's see what it says if I click this. Oh, it used to say 57%, now it's at about 61.
It's gained 4%.
So it's kind of adapting to what we're doing, and it's liking it, I guess.
All right, well, so far so good.
Yeah.
This ride's been pretty comfortable. What I do like is that I've got a big head-up display too. I know y'all aren't going to be able to
see it.
Yeah, y'all aren't going to be able to see that too well, but it shows me everything from my speed limit to how fast I'm actually going, and even the directions right in my windshield, which is always really nice to have.
And we already mentioned that this is the limited, basically kind of the top of the range, right? But this is also a dual motor all-wheel drive, like you were saying. But it also means that we have 320 horsepower and 446 pound-feet of torque.
Quite a bit.
And according to Hyundai, 4.3 seconds 0 to 60.
That ain't nothing to be upset about.
No.
That's quick.
Yeah, so that's quick. And also, if you didn't have, you know, all the fancy stuff and, you know, the luxury model, the base model of the Ioniq 6 is rated to go about 340 miles.
Right, and this, you know, unfortunately only about 270. Well, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see how it does, because it might actually do better than we expect.
Right. The interior of the Ioniq 6, and this is the limited all-wheel drive edition, is actually pretty comfortable. We've got heated and ventilated seats in the front, as well as a leather-wrapped heated steering wheel, two 12.3-inch screens that also give you Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, as well as wireless phone charging here, USB port here, a couple cup holders, as well as this is where you're going to find your dials for the windows and everything. But this is weird, Andre. This is like a 220 grit like sandpaper feel here. This is a very odd material choice for the interior of a vehicle. But you do have another little cubby here and a decent sized center console with two more USB ports. But that's not even my favorite part of the storage. Underneath here, you even have a pretty large open surface down here to put your bag or your dog or whatever snacks you have. I'm all about those snacks right now. I think it's a pretty spacious interior. But my one gripe is the temperature controls.
Yeah, that's also kind of my gripe, is because they're all kind of haptic digital buttons. And sometimes they're hard to see because piano black reflects sometimes.
Right. Yeah, it's a little difficult to see, and like this is going to be your button that's going to bring up your heated and ventilated seats and the steering wheel. So it's not exactly fully separated between each passenger, but you do get dual zones up front, which is nice. But I kind of wish that we just had real buttons, you know.
Speaking about also interior space, I love how much legroom I have here.
Yeah.
Amazing amount of space, flat floor, 3 across here, but my headroom is limited. And I think that's the negative part about that sloped roof.
Right.
That we talked about. But this does have one of the best, almost in the industry, coefficients of drag, 0.21. But I am touching my head.
Yeah, it's a little much for you. I mean, you're a pretty tall guy.
Yeah.
So if you're my height, you know, around 5'7", that's going to be a lot easier.
Fine, yeah.
But the leg room, that's huge.
I mean, I have miles of space, and I feel really. And you're sitting comfortably as well, right?
Oh yeah, yeah.
So that's a nice part. And I mean, I do have my armrest, cup holders, and another fun element of the interior I just noticed sitting here. The throttle pedal has a plus.
Yep.
And
plus and minus.
Yeah, so that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
So we are approaching the top. We can almost see it right now.
Yeah, it's close.
And also there's no guardrail here. So this, this mountain pass is not for the lighthearted.
No, it's not even snowing and I don't like this.
Yeah. If you're afraid of heights, this may not be the right place, but it's beautiful.
Oh, it's absolutely,
Yeah.
it's stunning, but for me, I can't look.
Focus on where you want to go, okay? Do not focus on the cliff.
No.
But I'm pretty impressed still. It says 2.3 miles per kilowatt hour.
Mm-hmm.
We're approaching a very top, so we're almost halfway done. It says 62% left right now, and about 62% when we arrive.
So here's the thing. We started with 290 miles. We've driven 70.
Yes.
And we're at 173 miles.
Yeah. Well, that's why. Yeah, it's because we're climbing.
Right.
So the whole trick is, we're going to recoup all of it or most of it on the way back.
I think we are.
Yeah. So that's going to be very interesting. But also, I think the reason why we're doing so well is because aerodynamics of this car are amazing.
Well, yeah, clearly. I mean, from the shape of it itself.
Yeah.
But what is it?
It's 0.21 is the coefficient of drag.
Wow.
Which is like every 100th of a point means a lot when
Yeah.
you're talking about aerodynamics, and getting it down to 0.21 is quite impressive.
So there's where that slope really comes in handy.
Yeah,
Maybe
so-
not so much for aesthetics, but
aerodynamics
Yeah.
is top notch.
for sure.
Including those, movable louvers in the front grille.
Yeah,
All right, so this is it. We got to get out now.
we're here.
We got to stop.
Okay.
Continental Divide, Loveland
There
Pass.
she is.
Yes.
We've made it in one piece.
Nice.
61%, 173 miles. Let's get out and scope it out.
Yeah. Jen, I think we should have brought our winter coats.
I know, I have goosebumps. It is a very different temperature up here than it is down in Boulder.
So we left, that was like 85 degrees or something.
warm.
Really, really warm. It's like more like 50 degrees here.
It is cold, but beautiful nonetheless, now that I can actually enjoy this view without thinking I'm just gonna drive right off the cliff.
Exactly. So, can I drive on the way back?
Please, yeah.
Okay.
Let's hit it.
Because I wanna see how it drives. All right, Jen, so when we asked the navigation system to bring us up here, he actually wanted us to go to the Loveland A Basin.
Yeah, a little
ski
bit
area.
farther than the top of the pass right here.
So now we set it back to the office, which is identical distance.
Right.
And it says 73 and a half miles-ish. And if I say, it says about 50%.
Wow, so we're actually gonna do pretty good.
Yeah, so it's 61% now. We're leaving the top of Loveland Pass, and it says it's only going to take us 11% of battery to get home.
Incredible. Okay, so we have 175 miles of range right now. I'm curious how much we're gonna gain coming back down.
And this is what I love about electric vehicles in general, because if you and I were in a normal, gasoline-powered or diesel-powered vehicle, we wouldn't gain energy, fuel on the way home.
We're gonna get a quarter tank of gas by going down the hill.
Yeah, but nonetheless, we're actually gaining some energy back. Not all of it, because laws of physics, right?
Right, of course.
But
Still gaining some for sure.
Yeah,
It's always a fun game.
really cool.
So where are we at, Andre?
So something really cool has been happening, because we left at 73 miles to go, right? Now it's 37. So we went 36 miles-ish, but we used almost no energy.
Look at that.
So I'm between 60 and 61% now, depending on my kind of this rate of descent. So that's really fun. I mean, going 30-something miles without using a single ounce of energy.
I mean, that is the type of game I want to play, for sure.
Yes. And we still have about 169 miles left.
So, and this is going to be down pretty much the rest of the way back to the office. Do you think we're going to really use like any energy at all?
It would be fun if we had over 50% left.
Ooh,
I think it would be,
cool.
yeah, that would be a lot of fun.
That would be cool.
Yeah, because this car, to begin with, doesn't have a lot of range.
No.
And I think that a lot of people, might complain about that.
Right.
But the fact is, for this trip, it's been going so well.
It's more than enough. And no, a lot of people aren't going to be traveling up and down a mountain for this to work. But you and I, we've done range trips where we've gone 240 miles. And to be honest, I don't want to be in a car for more than 4 or 5 hours without
you
stopping
gotta
anyways.
get some lunch like we did.
Exactly.
You gotta do something. Yeah. And also, I gotta say, this is a comfortable car to be in.
It's so comfortable. Not only the seats in the interior, but the ride. They did such a great job at making sure that they had a very quiet cabin and a smooth ride. And I gotta say, this low center of gravity, especially with the battery pack and everything,
yes,
makes for a very planted turning experience,
Yeah. I wouldn't say, there's not a ton of feeling through the steering wheel.
No.
Oh, there's that poor car. Oh no, that was a Mach-E.
Was.
Oh, ouch. Was a Mach-E.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, this doesn't feel like super connected to the road as far as feeling of the steering.
Right.
But I don't think this is the car for that. This is not supposed to be a sports car.
You're not buying it for that. You're buying it for a very comfortable ride.
Yeah, and it's very nice. There's almost very little tire noise, very little wind noise.
I think they did a good job.
Yeah, pretty nice. Well, let's see what happens when we get back to Boulder. And just like that, we're back in Boulder.
That was pretty simple.
Yes. So I'm pretty impressed, actually. I'm surprised. I was thinking using 50% or using more than 50%, that's what we would do.
Right.
Battery. But look at this. We have 55% remaining. And it says 157 miles remaining.
Yeah, so we started with 290 miles, as you can see from our trip. We went about 143 miles. That's leaving us where it should have been, leaving us with 147 miles left in the tank, but we have 157. Well, 159 as soon as we turn the climate off. So technically we gained 10 miles.
Yeah, and I think that range estimation of 270, I think it's a little bit conservative, maybe on Hyundai's part.
Yeah.
Which is what you want to do.
Of course.
Under promise, over deliver always.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think that's really great, and I'm impressed. I think it did quite a bit better than some others. Like, what about that Blazer SS?
Okay, just made it. All right, so it didn't dip too much since we turned off of getting in closer to Loveland Pass. 1.8 miles per kilowatt hour going up. Total distance of 73.3 miles. We are down to 64% with 191 miles left. All right, we just got back. Total trip was 147.6 miles, so roughly 74 miles up and 74 miles back, averaging 3 miles per kilowatt hour, which is pretty great. Ending battery is 56% and 181 miles of range.
Yes. But finally, we got to answer 2 more questions, right?
Yeah.
First of all, about price. And also, does the Ioniq 6 compete against anything else?
Well, so first thing that comes to mind would be the Tesla Model 3, but that is a little smaller than the Ioniq 6.
Yes. And less comfortable inside.
Definitely, especially the rear seat.
Yeah. And there are not a lot of sedans. Technically this is a sedan because it has a proper trunk.
Right.
So there's not a lot of electric vehicles in this space, actually.
Yeah, because they're either going to be more compact or they're going to be larger crossovers.
Yeah, crossovers or SUVs even. Mm-hmm. So actually this makes Ioniq 6 a little bit more unique.
It definitely stands out, not only just from the looks of it, but just its existence.
Exactly. But where does it start? What price do we start at?
So you can get a base model starting at $39,000, which is pretty inexpensive in today's market where everything
But only two-wheel drive.
Right. The limited all-wheel drive, this bad boy is coming in at $56,000 and some change.
Okay, it's getting a little steep.
A little more steep,
steeper.
yeah, that's for sure.
So you gotta decide, is all-wheel drive important to you? If it is, you should probably look at that.
Right.
Or I'll be tempted to that $40,000 range. That's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, if you live in an area where snow isn't a big deal, you know, if you're in the southern states, Florida or something like that, you don't need all-wheel drive. But if you're in Colorado, it's probably going to be something that you're going to want to stick to.
Exactly. And the car did so good on Loveland Trials.
Yeah, it did great. It's very comfortable. I thought it was great all around. What about you?
I agree.
Cool.
All right, well, thanks for joining us. And as always, check out alltfl.com for everything automotive in one place. Because not only Loveland Trials, but motorcycles, off-roaders, classics,
The Ike.
trucks,
Trucks,
everything,
and trucks.
everything, right there.